Hey everyone, welcome once again to another Infogestics webinar. Today we're going to be talking about AI agents workflows with Ignite UI. My name is Konstantin Dinev. Last time that we had such a webinar, we were again talking about AI agents and tooling that we had recently released, namely the Ignite UI Theming MCP. And what I did at the end of the webinar is I did promise that next time I'm going to be showing more of what we've been working on and what we're releasing in order to make agent workflows and agent results when working with Ignite UI components even better. And so what does this mean? Well, first of all, let me just quickly reiterate, Ignite UI, is a product family of different UI libraries across all of the modern frameworks that you would use for web, namely Ignite, Angular, React, native web components, and even Blazor. And all of the components that we have in those libraries are general purpose components, but we also have all of the data-heavy components like grids and charts and anything else that you would need in order to display all of the data that your business has or your business needs to present. The libraries for all of the frameworks are based on the same design system, so you get consistency across the different frameworks. And that design system is very extensible, and we have a very robust theming engine, which allows you to retheme and reskin everything that you're building with those components so that the look and feel is native to whatever your branding is or whatever your purpose your business needs to serve. So all of those libraries are also, with built-in localization capabilities, with built-in accessibility compliance, and so on and so forth. Everything that you would expect from a UI component library. So anything from the basic presentation website that you need to do for your business to something very complex like an ERP for your business or an investment banking financial application, you can build using those components. But now let me get back to the topic of agentic AI development. And so I mentioned last time we did talk about the Ignite UI Theming MCP that we had released at the time and how that enables all of those theming capabilities through an agent so that you wouldn't have to learn everything that we expose in terms of APIs and in terms of things that you can toggle and tweak in order to make your application look and feel the way you want it to. But you can also, you can now hand off this work to an agent and it goes through a tool that we have shipped and it actually understands all of the tiny bit of capabilities that we have and it can configure every single item in your application. But why stop there? It's not just theming, right? The agents need to know how to work with all of the components, what the components are, what purposes they serve, what are their top-level APIs and what are their niche APIs and extensibility options in order to achieve pretty much any scenario that you would need. And how do we help with that? Well, first of all, we put out agent skills for all of the major libraries that we have. And those are available in our GitHub repositories. And we do have documentation on how to get them and how to put them in your workspace so that you can put your agent to work without it, hallucinating APIs or without it trying to figure out how something in a component works when it can just directly be guided into what exactly it needs to use. And why is that important? Well, tokens. Agents use tokens, right? And the more they need to figure out on their own, the more tokens they use. How does the theming MCP help, for example? Well, it helps because if an agent has to figure out all of the custom CSS for your application in order to theme everything, and then to combine this into a unified theme into a CSS definition, those are multiple round trips, multiple sessions that an agent does. With the theming MCP and how we've built theming, it's actually a single round trip. It asks the MCP, what tokens do you expose? The MCP says, here's the list of all tokens that I expose. Well, configure this for me. And the MCP says, Here's how this needs to be configured, and the agent is, oh, okay, I'm done for the whole application. Well, with the components, it's a similar story. It needs to use a grid. Well, it needs to ask something on, okay, tell me what's the best practices for the grid. How do I use it? What are its features? And then what are specific APIs for those features? And so this is done through agent skills, but it's also done through something that we shipped yesterday as an alpha, which is called Ignite UI CLI MCP. And the CLI MCP is actually something even more robust than the skills, because the skills are static, because it is complementary to the theming. It actually goes before the theming. This MCP not only tells the agent what tools our CLI has and how it can use it, but also for each specific framework that you're working with, it tells the agent, this is how components work in this framework. And these are examples. All right, so enough talk. Let's show something, right? I hate staying on PowerPoint. And so given that I'm talking about UI component libraries, it's better that I show some UI. And I'm also talking about agentic work. So let's show something that we have when we work with agents. So first of all, what I've done here is with the latest version of Ignite UI CLI, I have actually scaffolded a blank application. I've called it Mortar Dashboard. I'll tell you why in just a second, but I've opened it up here in another VS Code just to show you what you get now when you scaffold an application using the Ignite UI CLI. So first of all, you're going to see top level, there is an agents.md file. I did tell this application to be scaffolded with framework Angular, so it created an Angular application. If I asked for React or for web components, it would have created the application structure for the specific framework that I asked it for. And in the top level agents.md, you would see that I actually have exactly the same agents file or a Copilot instructions file that you would get when scaffolding with the Angular CLI. One little addition on the bottom, which says for UI components use Ignite UI Angular. But there are also other differences. So if I open .claude right here, you would see that the project was scaffolded with the skills folder. And in the skills folder, all of the specific skills for Ignite UI for Angular were actually pre-scaffolded for the project directly by the CLI, so that you can start building with an agent without having to do any manual work to bring in those skills. There is one other aspect that I want to point out, and this is the MCP JSON. And you will see right here, we've pre-set up for you the Angular CLI MCP, because it's an Angular project again, the Ignite UI CLI MCP, and the Ignite UI Theming MCP. So you don't have to do any work here. All right. All of this gets pre-set up for you now, and you can just directly start building using an agent. And I have a scenario here that I want to task my agent with. And while it's doing some work, I'm going to show you something that is pre-built and how things work in an application that's already created, okay? And so my scenario, I'm going to read it out to you because I'm not sure if my font is big enough, even though I made everything 150%, as you can see. But those widescreen monitors are sometimes, not really good for presentations. But my scenario is the following. I am Sauron the Dark Lord, and I want to create an application to manage Mortar. And the puppet states that I control like Isengard. Okay, and even though I have no intentions of invading Middle-earth, I want to be able to get quick reports from my generals to have an overview of the battalions they control, their numbers, morale, health, and what is the primary race of the soldiers they consist of. I also want to have an org chart of my generals and lieutenants, and I want to keep track of my food suppliers availability and food production, my armory suppliers, smithing production by location, okay? And last but not least, I want quick access to my spy network reports with highlights of items regarding the One Ring, okay? So I think, you can relate to that, especially if you're Lord of the Rings fans. I am Sauron. I really worry about the One Ring, but I also worry about, everything that's happening in Mordor and, other places that are under my control. Again, I have zero intention of invading Middle-earth. I want to reiterate that. All right, so I'm going to task Claude Opus 4.6 to work on this, and I'm going to let it do some work. Before I switch to the other application, so because it's doing work and it's going to take a little while, I wanted to show you that first step, it engaged and it identified all of the tools that are actually defined here. So it already knows about the Angular CLI, the Ignite UI CLI MCP, and the Ignite UI Theming MCP. It also just went through all of the skills that are already in the folder. And it's saying here, okay, I identified 3 skills that I need. Now I'm going to use these in my context window so that I start doing some work. And by the way, some of you may ask, don't skills actually unnecessarily increase the context window of the agent? Well, I can tell you what, we've done a lot of testing, and it turns out that even though they add a little bit of overhead initially from tools, on the long run, especially when you have more iterations, they save a lot of tokens because the small overhead upfront gives you a much smaller token usage afterwards than letting the agent figure out everything on its own. And when it tries to do that, it wastes a lot of tokens. All right. So as I promised, I'm going to switch to another application while this is doing work. And this application is actually displayed on the right-hand side, and it's already running. That's an application that I have scaffolded with the skills prior to us having the Ignite UI CLI MCP. And it's a marketing dashboard for tracking content that we've created through different mediums. And it's giving me reports on how the content is doing. And, what are the impressions, engagement rates, and so on and so forth. And this application looks all very good. The skills apparently did a good job. It used our components properly. It themed the application properly. I have different product areas per product. Like right here, I have impressions over time, reactions by medium, and so on and so forth. But one thing that I want to do here is I like the layout, but I want to be able to adjust it. And I want to be able to adjust it at runtime. So as I said, all of this was created using the skills that we have, right? I had manually pasted my skills here, the .github folder. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually replace some of those skills and let things work only with Ignite UI CLI MCP, which again, I said is in alpha as of yesterday. But let me go and copy a new skill, and I'll show you what the new skill looks like, okay? So, just 1 second. Right here. Oh, where was my application? Come on. Okay. Yeah, let me open it like this. All right, so right here in the Ignite UI component skills, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to put the new skill that I have. So I'm going to close this, and let me show you what the new skill looks like. So it removed everything from the skill, and it said, you know what? For components, there is the Ignite UI CLI MCP server. Just use that, okay? And there is a sub-skill, a reference, which says, here's the MCP setup. This is how you set up the Ignite UI CLI MCP, okay? So now I said, I want to change the layout of this application that is running on the right-hand side. And I want the layout to be something that I can actually adjust at runtime. So what I'm going to say is for the marketing dashboard and the product areas view, I want a docking layout that I want to adjust at runtime. I also want my layout adjustments to be preserved in local storage so that they are restored on subsequent sessions. I also want a way to restore to the default layout. All right. So, by the way, I didn't tell it to use any component. I just said what layout I want. But let's see what it does. Oh, okay. It figured out there is an Ignite UI Angular doc manager. It went into the skills for components. And now, because the skill is now telling it, you know what, there is an MCP server for that. Just use that MCP server. And it's asking me, okay, can I actually engage this MCP server, which has a get doc tool, and work with it? And I said, yeah, go ahead. And by the way, it's running pretty fast, as you can see, because it's very guided at the moment. It knows about the components. It read what components there are. It's using the correct tools. So it doesn't have to do a lot of work to figure out what exactly does it need to do. I need a docking layout. There is a doc manager component. Let's use it directly. Let's ask what are the APIs for this component so that I can set up whatever you wanted. While this is doing work, let me get back to, I actually need to close this because I don't need it anymore. But let me get back to the other one, which is running. This one is still not done, so I'll let it continue. Yeah, go ahead. So this is figuring out that it needs a little bit more information. So it's asking to go directly into the online documentation now to extract additional content. I could have let it run on autopilot so it doesn't ask me every time. But while it's doing that, again, come on. I'm gonna check on our other project and how that is running. Oh, did I put it on Sonnet? Yeah, I did. So this one is gonna be a little bit slower. I thought I engaged Opus, the largest model that Anthropic have. Okay. So this one seems to be almost done because it figured out how to add the doc manager. The doc manager is a web component. That's why it says, okay, I need to add a custom element schema to the project. But notice I am working on two projects in parallel at the moment, and I still haven't written a single character of code. I'm just letting agents work with all of the libraries, with all of the components, figure those out for themselves. You know, as a user, I may not even know there is a doc manager component in Ignite UI, but I want a docking layout, and the agent just figured it out on its own, and it's working with that. I really hope, by the way, that this other demo is going to complete on time so that I can show it to you in the webinar. But right here, it's almost being done, and we'll see the results in just a second. If I know George is on the webinar, he always says that I need to have elevator music playing while the agents are doing work. That's why I actually tasked two agents today to work simultaneously because, you know, I can switch between the two while one is working, but my other one is just taking too much time at the moment. Got to the one ring. This one is making a lot of progress. I mean, the one ring is the most important thing for me. But taking off my Sauron hat or ring and getting back to the marketing thing. Okay. It figured the layout change output or event that needs to hook into in order to preserve my layouts whenever I do a change at runtime, because I asked it to save in local storage, right? Whenever I do something. And oh, this one was supposed to be a lot faster. Next time I probably should run 3 agents at a time so that I can bounce off between those. But while this is working, once again, I'm going to look at what other things there are here in the skills that we ship. Even though we have an Ignite UI Ignite UI Theming MCP, we also create a skill, for this. And by the way, you won't be surprised to see that one of the first instructions in the agent skills that we give is, use the MCP server, right? Because skills are good for small instructions, but when you need to work with a larger framework, they can get out of hand. They can become very large very quickly. And how do you manage this? Well, you manage it by actually creating an MCP, which then returns contextual information based on what exactly the agent needs. So in this case, the agent needs a doc manager, right? And if I had all of the component skills with, you saw 60 plus different components, right? It will receive a skill which not only includes the doc manager, but also includes all the rest of the components. Does it need to know about them when it's working with the doc manager? Well, not really, because it needs to configure a doc manager, right? So that's how we manage the context window to remain small, and at the same time, agents to not make mistakes when working with the library, right? So the MCP server in this case returns specific API for the doc manager whenever the agent needs that, and configures it without hallucinating what it needs to do. Okay, I'm just quickly gonna check on my Mortar app. Come on, man. Writing component code. Okay, it's moving. Very good. Okay, you can see this one made quite a lot of progress. It's gonna be nice if it gets to updating my view soon. So the things here that I was talking about in the skills in the rest of the skills that we have one which is for grids. Again, this has to do with the context window and with how large a skill can become. And so when we ship the skills, if for some reason, well, by the way, when we ship the skills, we still didn't have the MCP, but in a lot of cases, the skill is a smaller package that you just bring in to your repository if you don't want to include a lot of additional tools. And the grid skill is separate so that the context window is again manageable. And it also is separated into different types of things that grids do. Like, for example, what types of grids there are, right? And what are the scenarios that the different grids are good for, with minor examples on how those get set up. How is the state management being done? What are the data operations that each of the grids presents? And how do you interface them and how do you get them set up? So all of my tests, this ran a lot faster. Now it's doing a lot of work, and I guess it's gonna come up with a lot better results. By the way, my Mortar app is moving forward. It already created components. So I guess by the time that I show you this, that other application should have also completed. By the way, that other one you saw, I just started it from scratch. I had a plain repository without anything in it. I gave it a scenario. It had all of the tools already set up and it started working. For this one, it was an application that I have already iterated on a number of times that has gotten to a certain state. And I just want a change in this application, which is driven by some new component layout. Okay. And come on, man. what are you trying to do? Okay, it's saving state here. Okay. So it's making it really nice at the moment. It's right here, created my military component. It's working on the org chart component. Great. I'll have a lot of things to review afterwards for all of the code that it generated. But yeah, while this is getting finished, I don't know if you noticed the same thing for you. A lot of the things that I'm doing lately have been more guiding agents and orchestrating agents and actually reviewing work that agents did and, in a lot of cases correcting it, than actual, from the ground up application building. I think that's gone because agents are really, really good at the moment, especially if they have the right tools, not only to make changes to applications, but also to build from scratch, especially for really complex things. Okay. So this one, yep, it's installed. I wonder, okay. Let me quickly go on the other one to see how we're doing there. Okay, the org chart here we got done. The food supply is being created at the moment. Okay, so here in the docking example, it started making changes. It's still not done, but it's almost there. So now it's setting up the service. It still hasn't changed the layout to be in a doc manager, but it's gonna get there really soon, as far as I can see. And by the way, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it won't mess up. I mean, I've given it all of these tools that it needs, right? And see, yep, that looks right. Okay. Now it's changing the template. So any moment now, we should see the new layout in a doc manager. We here on the Mordor app have the armory being set up. God, every test I've run with this was at most two minutes. Okay, let's see the template that it still hasn't written it out. Okay. I guess it messed something up. Now it's fixing it. Okay. Let's see. It's almost there. AI. Sometimes it gets, God, I really apologize for this taking so long. Because this was the simple task that it does in 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, let's look at this one, how we're doing here. It created a lot of, by the way, I should be able to run this even now if it has created all of the routes. It looks to have created them. And I can see what its current state is. But I think it still hasn't gotten to theming, so may not look very good at the moment. Here, come on, just finish this. Okay, it's working on styles at the moment, by the way. But this view is still not done. This one messed up what to write in the HTML. It did everything else correctly. It did even the layout service. And right now, it messed up the HTML. By the way, it restored, it wrote something that was bad. It restored the original HTML, and now it's doing changes again. So the agent itself did mess up. By the way, that doesn't have to do with tooling because, the even though you guide it on how something is used, it in the process of actually making the updates, it sometimes messes up. Then it figures it out and then goes back, redos something. So I guess that's what is happening here. So this right here got to add a, let me rebuild it because I think it got messed up here because I ran it before it was done. Probably because of the styling, because it didn't build correctly, but at the before it was finished. Okay, here's my mortar command center. Okay, and I do have my battalion reports, my army race distribution, what the health is, the active battalions. See the command structure. Oh, okay. It put me up here at top, and then it gives me the Witch King of Angmar, Gothmog, Mouth of Sauron, Saruman, and then the lieutenants underneath them. So for this food supplies, I have 3 full suppliers and 2 critical. And total weekly production in pounds. Nice. Okay, did the armory and smithing. And right here are the spy network reports that I wanted. And there are the critical alerts that are related to the One Ring. I asked for that, right? And I also have all of the reports, and I can filter by those that are related to the One Ring. By the way, something that I noticed, currently this filter that I put on top is not actually performing grid filtering. And I'm going to tell it, you know what? You're not doing grid filtering here. Update. So what is this view called? The spy network reports. Update the spy network reports view to use the grid filtering API when showing only the One Ring reports. Okay. And by the way, I'm using the trial package of Ignite UI Angular. I'm also thinking about asking the agent to update my application to the license version because I have a license. So I don't see those trial watermarks. Maybe see if that doc manager one. God, I don't know what that's doing. It's now try okay. That's what happens sometimes. I've run this test like, probably 10, 15 times. It succeeds every time. Then I do a demo, and in the demo, for some reason, it messes something up. Okay. So here wanted to work on the filtering. I asked it to work on the filtering and to use the grid filtering in terms of API. Okay. It's doing the work now. Oh, it's actually checking the build at the moment. Let's see if it actually completed. Not yet. Here, the other one. God, what are you doing? Okay, did the update. Put the doc manager. Okay. Oh, it's working now on the second component because I also asked it to update the product areas. And I probably should have asked it to work on the only one. But anyways, so right here, I asked it to work with the grid and to use the grid API. It went and asked the skills and the MCP server what exactly are the APIs and implemented a change. All right, and let's see if that change actually works. And it does, okay? So refresh here just to be clear, okay? All right, that's great. But before we go, we just have a few more minutes. I said I want to ask it to upgrade me to the license package. To use the license Ignite UI Angular package. Upgrade the project. So I know how to do this, but if you don't, now the agents also know how to do it. So let's see where it gets with that. By the way, that thing with the doc manager, I'm just gonna open one that is working and show it to you if it doesn't finish in the next 1 minute. Okay, I shouldn't have let it work for so long. Obviously it messed up, so I'm killing it now, killing the server, changing to this one, which let me just undo all of the changes. Changing to this locking layout 2, which, by the way, was done with this other session, I believe. No, this other one. And I will show you. It was, again, the same thing. Upgrade me to the license package. And first of all, give me a dashboard with the docking layout, which I can save in local storage. And let me start so you can see what that is. Oh, I may need to reinstall the packages, yes. npm install and npm start. Okay. Just doing that. This one right here also needs a new start because it installed new packages. So let's see what it did on the Mortar app. Right here, we should now be using the license package across all of the components that the agent created. So we should no longer be seeing any trial watermarks anywhere on grids and such. And fine. Come on, serve it. Here it is. No longer any trial watermarks here, or here, or here. Everything looks fine. Yep. So the upgrade went fine. I didn't do anything. It installed all the license packages. It identified which are the ones that it needs. So all of this application is updated. And by the way, one last thing, I want a dark theme for this application. Sauron after all. Just, one final touch. When I and this one, I should be able to show you in just a second what the result is, and then we're going to be done. And if there are any questions in chat that I need to answer, I will do it live. Here, I asked it to change it to a dark theme. It identified correctly the MCP server that it needs to use, and this should actually be a pretty quick update. Right here, okay, got to your port is taken. Let's use a different one. Showing the different one now. Okay. Here it's almost done here, updating to a dark mode. Let's see what it does. Oh, it changed to dark mode, but it didn't change the background. Should have told it that also, I guess. Okay. Oh no, it's still not done. It probably will get there. Okay. Right here, this ran. That's the same marketing application that I was showing earlier. And voila, it's actually in a docking layout. Which is exactly what I wanted. So for this view, I don't like this to be here. Let's put it right here. Let's make this smaller. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to put this here, make this one smaller. And yeah, that looks kind of fine, especially 150%. Let's see on my other views. Okay, it did implement a docking layout also. The tabs are all here, list items, although they are squeezed because the view is kind of compressed. So this one, I'm going to put, that's the chart. So yeah, that one I should be able to view like this, but also larger. So yeah, I do have a docking layout. And by the way, I did ask it to create a reset functionality for me, right? And here it is. It gets me back to the default. And it has done the same here, right? So it does work. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to do this while I'm running it in the demo, but I'm showing you one of the working versions. And by the way, all of the versions worked except for the live ones. And just to show here that we're gonna get. Oh, okay. It didn't change the background, did it? Yeah, I think so. Okay, and then now it's going to change the surface to a dark color, and it's going to adjust all of the rest of the colors. So yeah, um, that's all I wanted to show today. We're out of time after all. So yeah, thank you, Terry. It does happen, but I really like. I had prepared a really flashy demo, and the gods of models or AI today didn't work very well with me. Right. So unless there are any questions, oh, by the way, yeah, this updated now. It's all dark, and it keeps developing further, so it's gonna get even better. If there are any questions that I can answer live, let me know now, or if not, that's everything I've got.